Hello. Hello and welcome. Joe Biden is gonna take your meat. Or so it's said. Joe Biden is gonna come to your house and thieve your meat. What are you gonna do about it? Well, what are you gonna fucking do about it? Nothing you can do. It's 1984. The meat is gone. But is Joe Biden actually going to take your meat? We'll find out. Anyway, we got some news to go over today. We got some more police stuff to look at. Catching up on that Boris thing we looked at yesterday. Oh, some Scottish independence stuff which I wanted to look at. It's not very interesting for American audiences, but it's still something I'd like to look at. But firstly, I want to look at this rather amusing story of Joe Biden taking your meat. Let's have a look. So it all started with this. Lauren Boebert. Joe Biden's climate plan includes cutting 90% of red meat from our diets by 2030. They want to limit us to about 4 pounds a year. Why doesn't Joe stay out of my kitchen? Joe Biden's rounding up all the meat. He's taking 90% of the meat. He's keeping it for himself. He's eating it all himself. The Daily Mail then went on from this spectacular tweet to say how Biden's climate plan could limit you to just one burger per month. 1984 is when one burger a month. Only one burger. Costs $3.5k a year in person's taxes to force you to spend $55k on an electric car and crush American jobs. One burger, $55k a year, $3.5 grand a month. That's what's going to happen. Joe Biden is a very scary man with meat thieving hands. Let's see what the Daily Mail has to say about this. Joe Biden announced the goal to cut emissions by 2030 compared with 2005 levels at the start of this 2-day climate change summit on Thursday. Well, he did announce that. That's true. He did say he wants to cut emissions by 2030. He found the plan, which would set the US on a path to zero emissions economy by no later than 2050, would create jobs and boost economies. He did claim that as well. It's actually a good plan as well. But he has yet to release any firm details on exactly how the plan will affect the daily lives of ordinary Americans. It could prompt sweeping changes that could affect how Americans eat, drive, and heat their homes. While Biden hasn't released details, experts and recent studies have laid out what would need to change by 2030 to reach the goal. And they think it's Joe Biden taking all your meat. I severely doubt this is the case. President Joe Biden's ambitious plan to slash greenhouse emissions by 50 to 52% over the next decade could prompt sweeping changes that could affect how Americans eat, drive, and heat their homes. Biden announced the goal to cut emissions by 2030 compared with 2005 levels at the start of a 2-day climate summit on Thursday. He vowed the plan, which would set the US on a path to zero emissions economy by no later than 2050, would create jobs and boost economies. What's this? This is completely unrelated. Why are we seeing this? But he has yet to release any firm details on exactly how the plan will affect the daily lives of ordinary Americans. That's true. It sounds good, but I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more Biden, okay? I want to see some more. The plan immediately sparked criticism from Republicans and industry experts who argue it isn't as substantial in the long run, put jobs at risk, and cause tax hikes for Americans. Well, what's the alternative, right? The end of the planet? We don't address climate change, right? I'm sorry, it's not really... it's not really a viable alternative, is it? Like, even if this were the outcome, it's still necessary, right? And I don't even believe this is the outcome. It's going to create more jobs because obviously all this infrastructure is going to need to be built. These new technologies are going to need to be developed and worked in. And taxes may go up. I'm not against that. It depends who they're going up for and by how much. While Biden hasn't released details on what life could look like for Americans, experts in recent studies have laid out what would need to change by 2030 to reach the goal. Alright. We saw this the other day. What would be required to meet Joe Biden's green target? Cut 90% of red meat out of your diet. Only eat 4 pounds a year. This is where the Joe Biden's gonna take your meat comes from. This is not really the case. There are plenty of ways we can go about this. An electric car. You have to buy a new car for $55,000 and install a new electric heat pump for $5,700. This is the most like fear-mongering, ridiculous bullshit. You know, it's about creating like green infrastructure and making things more sustainable, not about like you as a person, as an individual, literally just changing how you live, right? Like, we can have much more green energy if we just have nuclear power, right? We don't need you to all stop eating meat if that's the case. Cutting red meats and animal consumption products by 50%. Red meat consumption by 90% and animal products by 50%. Americans may have tried to cut their red meat consumption by a whopping 90% and cut their consumption of other animal based foods in half. Gradually making those changes by 2030 could see diet-related greenhouse gas emissions reduced by 50% according to a study by Michigan's. So doing that would do the whole thing, as it says here, right? His target is 50%. If we cut it by 90%, it would do the whole thing. So it's not like you have to do all of these things. If we did this one thing alone, that would be enough to meet the goal. That is not what he's prescribing that we do. Not what is going to happen. That would just meet the quota as like one example. But obviously nobody wants to do that. To do that, it would require Americans to only consume about 4 pounds of red meat per year, or 0.18 ounces per day. It equates to consuming roughly one average-sized burger per month. Yeah, again, this is if everybody did this, if everybody decided to swap this, we would meet the target straight away. This is not the prescription, and I very much doubt it's the plan. Making the switch to an electric car. It says here, Americans may have to cut their red meat consumption by a whopping 90%. This is just not the case. Nobody's prescribing this. Nobody's prescribing this. This would just be one solution among many. And like cutting down on meat is probably a good idea, like with the fucking heart disease in America. I like the way the meat industry is run. It's really terrible. But I doubt this is the solution. Everybody just stop eating meat. I don't think anybody's going to go for that. More than half the new cars in the United States would need to be electric within a decade. Studies show University of Maryland School of Public Policy estimated that cleaning up the transportation would count towards a quarter of Biden's goal. It would mean more than 65% of new cars are SUV sales and 10% of new truck sales would need to be electric. Currently, electric cars make about 2% of passenger vehicle states. Average cost of a new electric vehicle is about $55,000. Again, like, encouraging the switch to electric vehicles, if you can, is not equivalent to just saying you are no longer allowed to drive a petrol car or a diesel car, right? Saying these things are probably good, we should aim towards them. It's a vastly different statement to you now have to drive this, you have to own this. More than half the new cars built in the United States would be electric, blah blah blah. Refitting homes with electric heat pumps. Nearly 25% of homes would need to be heated by electricity rather than natural gas or oil to help reach Biden's goal by 2030. Average cost to install an electric heat pump, which an all-in-one heating and cooling unit is about $5,600 according to figures from Home Advisor. Again, it's probably a good thing that we have these, right? I mean, I doubt you'll have to pay for them out of pocket. It's just something you'd have to provide through infrastructure, right? Like when you build new houses, you put these in them instead. And old houses, you can refurbish with these instead with government grants and stuff like that to curb climate change. I mean, this doesn't even sound like a bad idea. Right? As long as you're not paying for this out of pocket, this is not even like a bad idea. Taxpayers could fork out trillions of dollars. That's the point. The point of tax. Good. This is what the purpose of tax is. You pay, and then taxes are used to, like, run the society well. Yes, that is the point. Biden's industry leaders say Biden's climate plan, while there are no cost specifics yet, could end up costing American taxpayers trillions of dollars. David Williams, president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, told DailyMail.com that Biden's plan is a multi-trillion-dollar corporate welfare giveaway. Well, what's the alternative, right? What is the alternative? Alternative is don't give these companies any money, and they continue to pollute and destroy the planet. Or give them money to go green, and then they stop destroying the planet, and you get to keep your fucking McDonald's. Like, this is like when people complain about bailing the banks out. Like, what's the alternative? Not bail the banks out? And then the banks fail? And then the economy crashes? Is that what you want? No. Yeah, that is what it is. But this is okay. We should be doing that. Strict climate mandate targets will disproportionately hurt low and middle class income citizens who will be forced to pay higher electricity bills, he said. This is why we should tax the rich. Simple as that. Put up that corporate tax and have an asset tax. Bjorn Lomberg, a visiting fellow at Stanford University, told the OC Register that the plan will likely cost taxpayers about $3,500 per year. Yeah, but that's on average, right? This is not like it's coming out of everybody's pocket. Everybody pays $3,500, right? It's not like if you make $12,000 a year, you pay $3,500 into this, and if you make $14 billion a year, you pay $3,500 doing this, right? That's just across the board on average, right? If you're very poor, you're likely not to pay very much into this, and if you're very rich, you're likely to pay a lot into this, which again is the purpose of taxes. Like, this is worded very scarily, right? Ooh, likely cost taxpayers about this much per year. Yeah, on average. You say about anything though. If you do like healthcare across the board, it's like about $4,000 a year. But you know, you're not going to give that up, are you? Well, more than 2/3 of the US population finds that climate in a crisis or major problem is less than half are willing to spend even $24 a year to fight it, according to a 2019 survey by the Washington Post and the Kaiser Family Foundation. It's because these people, like, when you phrase these questions, people tend to think of it like it's out of pocket, right? Like, would you personally give me $25 to fight climate change? No, that's the point of taxes, right? You don't really notice when it just comes out of your taxable income. Like, you could make this argument about anything. Oh, it costs this much per year. I wonder how much the average citizen pays into the military per year using this same metric. Right? It's probably a lot more. Joe Biden says it'll create millions, but Republicans argue it will crush them. This is jobs. I think it will. I mean, like, it's a developing economy. It makes sense, right? Biden says he can create millions of good-paying jobs in his plan, but many Republicans say it will actually damage the economy. I haven't seen any projections to back that up. Matt Code, who's president of the Oil and Gas Workers Association, was among the critics. Oh, surprising. Surprising how oil and gas are against this. Very, can't imagine why they would be against the environment plan. Biden is using buzzwords to justify his transition away from American jobs, while foreign countries like China, Iran, Russia, Mexico, Venezuela, and Iraq keep working to take over America's global market share, he told thedailymail.com. That's not the case. China is actually investing more into green energy than anywhere else on the planet. And the rest of this shit is just like all of this is like Red Scare shit. China, Russia, Venezuela, this is just Red Scare rubbish. Yeah, no, these places are investing like heavily into green energy. I mean, Russia's not, to be honest, and like Venezuela and Mexico and Iran are probably having a hard time doing it with the limited funding they have. But still, it's just not the case. And again, like, what's the alternative? I would literally rather a few Americans lose their job, even if that were the case. I would rather this happens than global climate catastrophe. Like, what do you want? Like, I don't think people like fully understand the ramifications of climate change, right? What will happen is large parts of the world will become uninhabitable, and we will have millions, if not billions, of refugees flooding into places that are habitable, crushing the living conditions for anybody there, right? So while people can complain about American jobs in this moment, in the next breath, you will be crushed under a horde of refugees scrambling to get out of their country that you have actively destroyed. Keeping American jobs is not the priority here. Even if this were the case that you would lose American jobs, that is a preferable alternative. President Biden's misguided policies will crush small businesses, hurt American workers, and harm all Americans. It's rubbish. That's absolutely rubbish. But Biden is like actively making it much easier for these by putting up corporate tax. If we transition away from American jobs while foreign countries keep producing, did we save the planet or just kill American jobs? Well, you're doing your part to save the planet. That's the point, right? If you take this like, well, you know, I'll do it when you do it kind of attitude, then nobody fucking does it. Right? You have to lead the way. You have to take your own initiative. Because if everybody took this fucking attitude, we literally would set the world on fire. The planet would just be a fucking a heat ball with millions and billions of refugees. Like, this is like an unbelievably stupid way of thinking about things. This is like, fuck you, I've got mine. And when you fucking when you take this opinion, it just fucks us all. Science is undeniable. Biden and Kamala Harris promised to slash US carbon emissions by half by 2030 in virtual climate summit with Putin, Xi Jinping, and 38 other world leaders. That's true. And they're actually doing a really good job of it. The Paris Climate Accords are going really well. It's not really anything to suggest that they aren't. Biden's new commitment, timed to this summit, would cut America's fossil fuel emissions by as much as 52% by 2030. It comes after 4 years of international withdrawal from the issue under President Donald Trump, who mocked the science of climate change and pulled the US out of the landmark 2015 Paris Climate Accords. Yeah, and the Daily Mail, this website, surprisingly pro-Trump. Well, not surprisingly, but I guess I'm saying that sarcastically. Climate initiatives in Biden's $2 trillion infrastructure plan. Building infrastructure, by the way, is like always a good thing, right? Investment in infrastructure is like always a good thing. Like, this never backfires. Like, having the things to do things is good. Always. $85 billion to modernize existing transit and health agencies expand their system to meet rider demand. That sounds good. $174 billion in electric car development. That sounds good. Make them cheaper, make them more accessible, more green transport. $111 billion to replace lead pipes and service lines to modernize drinking water and sewer systems. That's great. No more Flint, Michigans. Sounds fantastic. Very, very necessary as well. Like, not having good quality water, like, really harms the population. $100 billion to protect nature-based infrastructure, lands, forests, wetlands, watersheds, and coastal ocean resources to build up electrical system, expand tax credits for clean energy generation and storage, plug orphan oil wells and mines, and redevelop Superfund sites. That all sounds very based. Protecting nature, closing up things that are harmful to the climate. Yeah, that sounds good. I like it. $40 billion to improve the infrastructure of public housing system in America. Probably needs more than that, but it's a start. $100 billion to upgrade the electrical grid. Again, brilliant. Modernizing the technology. Very, very relevant. Very good. $100 billion to upgrade and build new public schools. Fantastic. Who doesn't like upgraded public schools, better facilities in public schools, better education for your children? Sounds great. $10 billion to modernize sustainability and resilience of the federal buildings. Oh, that probably sounds about right. Right, $10 billion. I mean, it's not a lot, but I wouldn't imagine there are that many federal buildings that need that much of an upgrade. It's $10 billion. So it seems like a substantial amount. $35 billion investment in climate science. That's great. Researching climate science, very important. It's really nice to see Biden back on the science train. Well, not back on the science train, but America back on the science train with Biden at the helm. And $10 billion for new civilian climate corps. I like this. This actually sounds great. This all sounds very good. Biden's new commitment, time to the summit, would cut America's fossil fuel emissions by as much as 52% by 2030. Yes. Yes, it would. Apparently so. It comes after 4 years of international withdrawal from the issue. We just read that. Signs are unmistakable, the science is undeniable, and the cost of inaction is mounting, Biden said. It's just true. How could you argue with that? It's just true. This is a moral imperative and economic imperative. Time is short, but I believe we can do this, and I believe that we will do. Thank you for being part of this summit. How can you disagree? How can you fucking disagree? Biden's administration this week is sketching out a vision of a prosperous, clean energy United States where factories churn out cutting-edge batteries and electric cars for export, line workers relay efficient national electric grid, and crews cap abandoned oil rigs and coal mines. What's wrong with this? There's absolutely nothing wrong with this, right? So you've got people working here, you've got people working here, you've got people working here. Like, this is great. Crab rave or not to crab rave? I mean, there's nothing to crab rave about at the moment, alright? We're sat here with like 2 people watching. You gotta wait for the viewers, and then we crab rave, okay? Then we crab rave. The Biden administration's pledge would require by far the most ambitious US climate effort ever, nearly doubling the reductions that Obama administration has committed to the Paris Climate Accord. So far, Biden is very much keeping on board with the things he said he would do, and he's succeeding in doing them. Can you complain? Can you complain? But the Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell dismissed the administration's plan as costly and ineffective. What's your solution? I don't remember Trump actually having a climate plan, so shut the fuck up, Mitch McConnell. Shut the fuck up. Even if they are costly and ineffective, at least Biden's trying. Your answer is to give more oil subsidies and hope the problem goes away and deny science. This is quite the 1-2 punch, McConnell said in the Senate speech Thursday. Toothless request of our foreign adversaries and maximum pain for our American citizens. Again, what is it? What is the alternative, McConnell? Answer me that. What is the alternative? The alternative is we let the world burn and you tell everyone, fuck you, I got mine. That's it. That's the alternative. The US emissions cuts are expected to come from the power plants, automobiles, and other sectors across the economy. Yeah, that's pretty expected, yeah. Sector-specific goals will be laid out later this year. I'd like to see those when they come out. How Washington intends to reach its climate goals will be crucial to cementing US credibility on global warming, and that international concerns that America's commitment to clean energy economy can shift drastically from one administration to the next. That is true, but Biden is vastly different to Trump. Biden is actually a fantastic president at the moment, and hopefully will continue to be, whereas Trump was always terrible. So it is a bit of a surprise to see this rapid shift, but, well, it's just a change in leadership. What can you expect? What can you expect? Biden's recently introduced $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan contains numerous measures that could deliver some emissions cuts needed this decade, including a clean energy standard to achieve net zero emissions in the power sector. By 2035, it moves to electrify the vehicle fleet. That sounds good. Trump was alright. He just never got to go along with his plan to release a mixtape, the Platinum Plan, or whatever he was calling it. It sounded like an album. Yeah, no. He spent 4 years not doing anything about climate change, and he said, I will do something about climate change. When asked what he was going to do about climate change, he said, I'm going to make it better. He didn't have a climate plan. He was constantly quizzed on this, and he just said, I'm gonna do the stuff and make the things. Because he couldn't have a climate plan, right? Because a lot of his base don't even believe in climate change. So he can't have a climate plan. It's bad for his fucking popularity. So, like, fuck Trump. If we do, we'll breathe easier literally and figuratively, he said. True. We'll create good jobs at home for millions of Americans and lay a strong foundation with growth in the future. You know, I reckon this will probably succeed, and they'll find something to complain about, right? There'll be like some minute issue which like bugs Republicans, and that'll be it. They're just constantly pushing against any kind of progress. Biden has included a string of climate initiatives for his infrastructure plan, including cars, $85 billion to modernize public transport, $174 billion on building more electric cars, $100 billion to upgrade the electrical grid, and $10 billion on civilian climate cops. Man, how fucking long is this article? Why is this page so long? Trump was epic. He really highlighted how one mediocre speaker can influence numerous individuals living in rural towns who are afraid of anything moving towards or into their rural villages. Nobody would have known how deep it went without Trump. Oh, I knew. Alright? I'm always saying, alright? Fuck being correct. Alright? Being correct is for nerds. Being convincing. That's where we're at. Okay? Being correct, being convincing. That's what we want. This is just what Biden said at the summit. I'm not going to bother reading all that, to be honest. Anyway, the Daily Mail, fear-mongering, rejecting that we should do anything about climate change, like very dishonestly representing statistics. Let's see what the actual truth is, shall we? Fact check, no, Biden is not trying to force Americans to eat less red meat. He is not prescribing that you cut down 90% of the red meat in your diet. That is not what's happening. Let's have a look. Let's watch a little video here.
So a bunch of Republicans are claiming that President Biden is proposing strict limits on how much red meat Americans can eat or how many hamburgers they can consume as part of his climate plan. The governors of Texas and Idaho have tweeted about this like it's some kind of scandal. Greg Abbott says, not going to happen in Texas. And Brad Little says, Idahoans also have beef with this agenda and for dinner. Joining us now to help us understand this controversy, CNN reporter Daniel Dale. Daniel, these Republicans are claiming that the president's climate plan somehow wants to cut down on how much red meat you can eat by 90% by 2030. Is this true?
John, this is completely imaginary. It's totally fabricated. When I come on your show, I often have some nuance to bring you about claims that are being made. There's no nuance here. This is completely, totally wrong. And so you have Republican governors taking a firm stand against a Biden plan that does not exist at all.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, right? Even in the Daily Mail article, right? They list big, bold graphic, right? Cut 90% of red meat out of their diet. And then they actually list Biden's plan. It doesn't say anything about cutting meat out of your diet. Like, they fucking lie in their own article, and you can debunk them from their own article. Like, that's how fucking badly written the Daily Mail is.
At all.
Okay, so then where did this originate from?
So this came from the Daily Mail, a British tabloid. What happened was there was an academic study out of the University of Michigan and Tulane University a year ago, before Biden took office, that looked at what would happen to greenhouse gas emissions if Americans hypothetically decided to change their diets in various ways. And one of the scenarios they looked at was what would happen if Americans cut 90% of their beef consumption, went down to 4 pounds per year. In that case, they found there would be a significant reduction in emissions. But they didn't call for a mandatory reduction. And this has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Like, why are we even talking about this study? But the Daily Mail did a piece after Biden.
It's literally a hypothetical study 1 year before Biden got in. And it's nothing to do with his plan, and they're saying that this is what he wants to implement. Like, how do you respond to this? Biden, you won't take away our meat. Yeah, I know, I'm not trying to. It's not part of a plan. You got there. I've got the plan. It's on the same fucking webpage. Like, what do you want me to do? This is not what I'm doing. This came out a year before I even announced any of this.
Biden announced that he wants to cut emissions by 50% below 2005 levels by 2030, and said this Biden plan could make you eat a maximum of 1 hamburger per month, could result in a reduction of 90% in your meat consumption. But again, there's no relationship with this study from a year ago and what Biden is actually calling for.
Joe Biden is not calling for this. Full stop. So who has been spreading this nonsense, Daniel?
So, as so often, Fox News had a big role. This went from a Daily Mail article on Thursday.
You'll never take my meat, Wowie. You'll never take my meat. Though, to be honest, we probably should eat less red meat in general, though. Like, it is quite bad for you, the amount we consume. Heart disease is only going up and up and up and up. But yeah, we should, bit sus there. Bit sus. We should. Heart disease is only going up. Like, it does produce a lot of emissions, the meat industry. It's really bad for deforestation. We probably should eat less red meat. And the meat industry is terrible. Like, it's bad for the people working it and the animals.
night to a whole bunch of Fox personalities on Friday and Saturday. Listen to some of what they've been saying.
Say goodbye to your burgers if you want to sign up for the Biden climate agenda. That's the finding of one study.
That's a lie.
They can't have a steak on the grill or a hamburger on the grill July 4th weekend.
Americans would have to cut red meat consumption by a whopping 90%. That means only one burger a month.
Man, imagine going on the TV with millions of viewers and just telling fucking lies like that. Just like blatantly fucking lying. That's ridiculous. Like, they know this is not true. They must know this is not true. There's no way. They saw the Daily Mail article, like, this is fact, yeah. They didn't do any further research into it before broadcasting. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how they can get away with that.
So this is all inaccurate, and there were other Fox personalities too. From there, on the weekend, it went to members of Congress, Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, North Carolina Congressman Madison Cawthorn, Donald Trump Jr. amplified the claim. A whole bunch of other right-wing influencers made the claim. The Gateway Pundit, the right-wing conspiracy website, as so often, made the claim. And again, this is completely invented out of whole cloth. So it's been striking to see how complete nonsense has gone from a British paper to Fox to the entire right-wing ecosystem, it seems.
Yeah, those are not lawmakers, by the way, known for their truth-telling. And we laugh because this is so ridiculous, but mark my words, there are people who will believe this and continue to believe this. Daniel Dale, you are a fact-checker extraordinaire. Thank you.
It's ridiculous. Fox News co-host John Roberts has since admitted the show was wrong about Biden's climate plan, admitting... Oh, let's have a look. John Roberts admits he was wrong. He was wrong. Let's see. Admitted on air. Let's have a look.
Told you about a study from the University of Michigan to give some perspective on President Biden's ambitious climate change goals. That research from 2020 found that cutting back how much red meat people eat would have a drastic impact on harmful greenhouse gas emissions. The data was accurate, but a graphic and a script incorrectly implied that it was part of Biden's plan for dealing with climate change. That is not the case. One state now looking to reimagine.
There we go. He admitted it. At least he admitted it. I wonder when this was broadcast, though. Yeah, gently acknowledges that its coverage about Biden supposedly trying to force Americans to eat less red meat wasn't accurate. Yeah. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this bullshit. Let's go ahead and hit a little retweet in that one, eh? That is not the case. Have I seen this? What is it? Maybe I have seen it. Eating less meat won't save the planet. Here's why.
I can tell you any change less than 1% is not measurable. Not measurable.
Now hold on.
Fuck, this is long. I'm gonna watch a 24 video on this. This channel usually makes informed, albeit controversial takes. I mean, I'd have to look into it. It's too long right now. It's too long. All right, let's continue with this article anyway. Republican members of Congress, Fox News personalities, and other prominent right-wing figures are falsely claiming that President Joe Biden is trying to force Americans to eat far less red meat. Oh yeah, have you seen the tweet? The tweet. Joe Biden's climate plan includes cutting 90% of red meat from our diets. This is just false. It's literally just a lie, right? This is a congressman just lying, just straight up lying. Just 600,000 people that she's just straight up lying to. It's just not true. Even Fox News could admit that. This is ridiculous. First they came for our Mr. Potato Heads, now they come for our red meat. What next? It's the end of the West. It's the end of the West. No fewer than 5 Fox News or Fox Business personality told versions of the scare story on the air starting Friday morning. For example, Fox News host Jesse Walters said Saturday that Americans are going to have to cut their red meat consumption by 90% in order to reduce emissions to hit Biden's target. This means you're only allowed to eat 4 pounds of red meat a year. That adds up to a burger a month. That's it. This is just raw. It's just a lie. This is not falsely implying it. You're actively lying. Right? Americans are going to have to cut their consumption by 90% in order to reduce emissions to hit Biden's target. This is just a lie. This is just a lie. I'm cutting out red meat and I feel great. Yeah, it's not bad for you, is it, Proto Zero? Nice to see you. I know red meat can be terrible in many levels, but I do love the taste. Like I said, I'm okay with eating red meat. We probably should cut down a little bit. But this is just a lie. Straight up. This sentence is a lie. In a particularly odd moment on Twitter Sunday, 2 Republican governors, Greg Abbott of Texas and Brad Little of Idaho, tweeted their opposition to the Biden red meat policy that doesn't exist, and cited a Fox News graphic that listed supposed elements of non-existent policy. Imagine, it's your fucking job to, like, represent the people and create policy and have your opinions on these things, and you don't even know what's fucking real and fake. It's ridiculous. Fish can be a lot better. I mean, steak is nice for sure, but fish steak is even better. Oh, do you mean swordfish? Have you eaten swordfish? Wow, I'd like to know if you've eaten swordfish. But fish farming is terrible too. Yeah, that is true. Facts first. Biden has not proposed. Biden has not proposed any limit on Americans' red meat consumption. In fact, he has not proposed any limit on Americans' consumption of any food. The false claim about Biden trying to restrict people to 4 pounds of meat per year appears to have originated with a deceptive Thursday article by the British tabloid The Daily Mail. Look at this. The Daily Mail is such a fucking pile of shit. It's unbelievable. The article basically connected Biden's climate proposal to an academic paper from 2020 that is not about Biden and says nothing about government imposing dietary limits. It's just some lies. It's just a big fucking lie. Using the big nets they farm. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know, like, could you... I mean, they have, like, free-range farms. Like, free-range fish farms, don't they? The paper by scholars at the University of Michigan and Tulane University estimates how greenhouse gas emissions would be affected if Americans hypothetically decided to change their diets in various ways. This pretty much covers the same shit. And the Daily Mail just goes and lies about it some more, and then Fox News. It's like Chinese whispers, but with, like, grifters. Right? You get, like, a study which is talking about a hypothetical completely unconnected to Biden. Somebody makes the connection, and then somebody says that this is fact. Like, it's ridiculous how quickly bullshit travels, and how little people look into this. Like, you know, it took me, like, 5 minutes to find this information. Like, 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. It's just fucking ridiculous. Alright. To conclude, Joe Biden is not gonna take your meat. That's right. We got free-range ones and enclosed ones. I don't know. Are fish sentient enough to be, like, considerate of their well-being? Do we really need to consider the feelings of fish? I mean, it does seem a bit weird, right? But I don't think a fish even knows, does it? Is fish stress a real thing? Anyway, that was bullshit, basically. Let's get grill pilled. Grill everything. To be honest, grilled food is good. Grilled food is good. Do you like grilled food? Boris Johnson faces threat of sanction if he failed to declare loan for flat renovation. So Boris Johnson is this close to breaking the ministerial code. You see that? He's this close to breaking the ministerial code. Fish stress is real. If you leave lights on, they can get stressed. What happens when a fish gets stressed? What do? Do they get, like, pimples? They, like, swim into the wall? How do you tell if a fish is stressed? And how, like, even if there were, like, a set of behaviors which we think is fish stress, how do we know that that is, in fact, fish stress? heart rate. You're telling they got like a little fucking ECG on the fish swimming around in the tank when they leave the lights on. And they measure the stress of the fish. Maybe the fucking fish just have higher heart rates when exposed to light. Maybe there's nothing to do with stress, right? Alright, fuck fish. Fuck them. Fuck those guys. I don't give a fuck if they're stressed, right? I'm gonna eat them either way. Anyway. Boris Johnson faces threat of sanction if he failed to declare land for flat renovation, right? So it's part of the ministerial code that you have to declare any kind of donations or like financial backing, right? That's part of the ministerial code. Boris Johnson recently got his flat renovated from an unknown source that paid for it, and Boris Johnson has yet to declare that source. And thus, he's very close to breaking the ministerial code. If he breaks the ministerial code, he may be asked to resign, which is actually quite a big deal. So let's have a look. Loading ad. No. We will not be loading ad.
Hello to Fitbit Sense.
Why would you put the sound button on if you can't actually mute it? What a fucker.
With the Fitbit Premium.
There we go, look. I can hear it, but you don't have to listen to the ad. We can do that. What a fucking bastard. What's this? Stress in fish, symptoms and solutions. Though it seems odd, the truth is that fish can get stressed in much the same way humans do. Whether it's a messy home-strained relationship with friends or family, fish often have those. Very sad for fish. Or just general business, you can sympathize with a stressed-out fish. Just like humans, though. Fish and stress in fish can lead to serious health complications, so it's important to be able to recognize when your fish is stressed and what you can do to help. Gasping at the surface, appetite, disease, strange swimming. That's some strange swimming you're doing there, fish. You alright? Feeling a bit stressed recently? You having a strained relationship with friends or family? Or just general business getting you down, little fish? This is so stupid. Improper water conditions, they don't like that. Troubles with other fish. A little fishy argument. No, I'm very stressed. I've been beefing with this other fish recently. I'm very stressed about it. Sneaky debate, man. Taking on for the viewers. That's right. That's right. And other facts is... Oh, it's funny. It's a little fish getting into a fight. That's good. That's good. All right, back to something serious. What's Boris doing?
The clock is...
It's well said, thinking of Nemo. True. His mother died, right? That's pretty sad. I bet he was very fish stressed after that as well.
It's no longer ticking.
We are going to rise and ping off the guy ropes of self-doubt.
Giving a clear and complete answer, we will not get to the point there is zero risk.
The Prime Minister ruffled his hair and made a flippant...
When I was younger, I got an angelfish and my brother got a little sharkfish. Bullied me, saying it'd eat my angelfish. It turns out the angelfish ate the shark. They had some fishy beef. They had some fishy beef, and the angelfish, he fucked him up. It killed him. That's what happened. He was too stressed to deal with it, and he ate the other fish. He was fish stressed.
Comment.
Boris Johnson refuses to take even the slightest responsibility.
This is a divorce. It's a warning. Brexit, and it's a failure. A failure of the European Union. Nah, it's a failure of England, definitely. I thought this was about him declaring fucking is fine. What the fuck is this? I didn't want to watch that. And now there's another Fitbit ad. Fuck off.
Sense.
No, shut up. You can't pause it and you can't mute it. All right, there we go. Okay,
With the Fitbit Premium app.
No, go
and
away.
an EDA
Alright, I'm
center-
done with this article. Fuck you. That article was bad. I'm fish stressed. Ads should be illegal. You should be at least be able to fucking mute them and not get a pop-up every time. Loan flat renovation, I guess. Flat refurb. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if we can find something else. There we go. Well, just Sky News, right? Sky News is a pretty mess source, but I've never bought something from an ad. No, neither have I. I don't think I ever have done that. I don't think I've ever seen something on an internet ad and been like, do you know what? You got me. I will buy that. Maybe if they were selling some like de-stressors for my fish, I'd buy that maybe. Anyway, let's see what Kier has to say on this. Kier.
Everyone can now get free rapid COVID
Another ad.
tests twice a week.
At least you can mute this one. Thank you, Sky News. Okay, thank you, Sky News, for allowing me to mute this one. Not the fucking Independent. You have to pay to access their site, and you can't mute their ads. Fucking bastards. 30-second unskippable ad. It's quite the ad.
Prime Minister of the Nolan Principles, which are meant to govern the behaviour of those in public office. They're these: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. Instead, what do we get from this Prime Minister and this Conservative government? Dodgy contracts, jobs for their mates, and cash for access. And who's at the heart of it? The Prime Minister, Major Sleaze, sitting there. Mr. Speaker, meanwhile, he talks about priorities. Crime is going up.
Look at his face.
NHS waiting lists.
Do you know, I actually love these debates, alright? I love the fucking House of Commons. It's actually very entertaining to watch. Watching like two fucking old men yell at each other about policies. It's very interesting.
Millions of people are worried about their jobs, including Liberty Steel. Mr. Speaker, don't the British people deserve a Prime Minister they can trust and a government that isn't mired in sleaze, cronyism and scandal?
Mr. Speaker, last week he came to this chamber and he attacked me for talking to James Dyson about ventilators, where we're now sending ventilators to help the people of India. And the following day, Mr. Speaker, the Labour front...
No, it wasn't about that. It was about inside trading. It wasn't about that. Sorry, Boris. Bit of a lie there. I think the fact that Boris may stop being a PM because of a renovated flight is the most ridiculous thing. It seems frivolous to lie about. Exactly, right? But that does mean it's dodgy, right? It indicates that it's dodgy. Like, Kira is right. Why would you not just tell the truth if there was nothing wrong about it? Right? Why would you not just be, yeah, like, all he has to do, right, is announce where the donation came from. That's it. Right? That's it. And say that there was, like, no access or anything else granted as a result of that. All he has to do is that. But he can't do it, because most likely, it is fucking dodgy. That is simple as that. He most likely did give someone preferential treatment for this money. Which is dodgy. It's an abuse of power. And he would be fired. So he can't. He has to hold it off and make up some sort of rubbish story. And it's the same with James Dyson. The fucking, the leaks that they were given out. He's giving preferential treatment.
Bench said that any Prime Minister in my position would have done exactly the same thing. It wasn't only a few months ago that they were actually attacking Kate Bingham, as saying she was a crony when she helped to set up the vaccine task force that delivered millions of vaccines for the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, is helping us to get out of the pandemic.
He didn't say any of this, though. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about this, right? He said you're given preferential treatment. He said you're not being transparent. You're not upholding these policies, and that's true. You're not answering the question. You're completely dodging here.
Delivering on the people's priorities. We're rolling out many more nurses, 10,000 more...
Nah, just because you're doing well in one area doesn't mean you're uncritiquable in another area. He's just going to keep backing off to this point because that's all he's got at the moment.
Nurses in the NHS now than there were this time last year. 8,771 more police officers on our streets now than there were when I was elected, including tougher sentences, Mr. Speaker, for serious sexual and violent criminals.
It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. This doesn't change anything. This doesn't stop the amount of sexual crimes being committed. It doesn't stop people being attacked. It doesn't stop anything. It just puts them in prison longer, which doesn't solve anything either. It just costs the government more money.
which he opposed, Mr.
Good, rightly so.
Speaker. We're getting on, and by the way, I forgot to mention it. Last night, our friends in the European Union voted to approve our Brexit deal,
which is trash.
Which he opposed.
Which is because it's trash. Yeah, he opposed it because it's garbage.
Which enables us not just to take back control of our borders, Mr. Speaker, but to deliver free.
This is such a rubbish. To take back control of our borders. We never had an issue with controlling our borders. We literally never had an issue with this. It's just like a rubbish talking point that they throw out.
Which it does, which he fervently opposed.
Yes, because it's never been an issue, and all you're doing is like fucking opposition in the world. Yeah, he should oppose that.
Enabling us, amongst other things, to deal with such threats as the European Super League, Mr. Speaker.
What are you on about? That was shot down almost immediately. Nobody cares about that.
It enables us to deliver free ports in places like Teesside, and above all, taking back control of our country has allowed us to deliver the fastest vaccine rollout.
No, this is because we had fucking the manufacturing capabilities. It's nothing to do with being part of the EU. This, like, I hate this talking point, right? This is like the talking point of, oh, well, we left the EU, thus that's why the vaccines are going so well, right? No, the vaccines are going well because we started producing factories for manufacturing the vaccines back in 2017, right? We are the manufacturing hub in Europe for the vaccines, right? Which means we were always going to have access to a supply of vaccines. This is absolutely nothing to do with leaving the EU. It's absolutely nothing to do with leaving the EU. We have the fucking manufacturing capabilities, thus we will have access to the vaccines. It's that simple. Nothing to do with the EU. This is a ridiculous talking point.
In Europe, as he well knows, Mr. Speaker, which would not have been possible if we'd stayed in the European
Yes, it would have.
Agency, which he voted for. Mr. Speaker,
it definitely would have.
People in this country can see the difference between a Labour Party that twists and turns with the wind.
Then why won't you tell? Why won't you fucking tell us what's going on? If they're so dodgy and twisty and turny, and they won't be held accountable, they won't make an honest point, why won't you just answer the fucking question, Boris? Why don't you just answer the fucking question?
It thinks of nothing except playing.
Because he hasn't. He hasn't addressed anything.
Political games, whereas this party gets on with delivering on the people's priorities, and I hope...
The people's priorities? What was that Kill the Bill protest that went on for 4 days? The people's priorities? I don't know what you're fucking talking about, Boris.
I hope that people will vote Conservative on May the 6th.
It's ridiculous. Boris, floundering, flabbergasting, lying, absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is absurd. Boris has insisted that he covered the cost of the refurbishment, refurbishment of his Downing Street flat as a formal investigation was launched into the revamp. That's the important part, right? A formal investigation was launched. Just like a stressed fish. He does a bit, yeah. Very stressed fish vibes there. The Electoral Commission on Wednesday announced it would look into whether any transactions relating to the works of the Prime Minister's flat above 11 Downing Street were properly reported. They said there were reasonable grounds to suspect an offence or offensive may have occurred. Weird, right? Surely, if this was all kosher, there was no problems with this, Boris would have just, released all the data, released all the information. There would be nothing a little sus. But no, it's taken him weeks to release this information. Why? I don't know. Maybe there is reasonable grounds to suspect an offence or offensive may have occurred. Little more than an hour later, Mr. Johnson faced a grilling by MPs during Prime Minister's questions, with Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer focusing on the sleaze allegations against the government. This is just true. Like, the failed PPE contracts were terrible. The governance surrounding COVID and the lockdowns was terrible. The vaccines went well, but that wasn't really anything to do with you. That was all like the NHS internal planning, which you are constantly defunding, might I add. So they've not really got a leg to stand on. There's not really a leg to stand on here. Dodgy jobs, dodgy contracts, jobs for their mates, and cash for access. And who is at the heart of it? The Prime Minister, Major Sleaze, sitting here. It's true, though. All of those things are true. The PPE contracts were dodgy as fuck. We didn't get the relevant amount of PPE, and it cost a lot of fucking money. The fucking cash for access and jobs for their mates is a thing. We have the leaks from what's his name? Who's that guy? Fucking Dominic Cummings. We have the leaks from Cummings. It's just true. We have like so much to suggest that this is actually the case. The SNP's Westminster leader Ian Beckford also joined the attacks on the Prime Minister, saying Mr. Johnson was up to his neck in a slump of Tory sleaze. He really is. He really is. This is honestly one of the most corrupt governments we've had in a very long time. Whoever wants to learn more about emotional fish. Why you care so much about fish emotions, huh? I don't care about fish. Fuck fish. Alright? Fuck those guys. I don't care about fish. We've seen contracts for cronies, text for tax breaks, and cash for curtains, he said. Yep. We have lots of evidence about this as well. This is not just a false accusation. This all went on. Prime Minister has dodged these questions all week, and he has dodged them again today, but these questions are simply not going to go away. He did. I said this myself. Right? He didn't address any of the allegations made. He didn't address the dodgy contracts. He didn't address cash for access. He didn't address the funding for his flat refurbishment. He didn't. None of that he addressed. He just said, "Oh yeah, well, the vaccine's going well." That was it. That was his whole rebuttal. Mr. Blackford asked, "Will the Prime Minister publish these details of the funding today, or is he going to wait until the police come knocking at his door?" Yep, still waiting on that one, Boris. Emo Fish is a cool song name. I think anything could be a song name, though, can't it? But the Prime Minister hit back, telling MPs the answer is that I've covered the costs, I've met the requirements that I've been obliged to meet in full. Then why is there a formal investigation going on into it? Why is that the case? Why can't you just release this information to begin with? Bit weird, eh? Bit weird. The Prime Minister, who said no rules or laws have been broken in retaliation to the works on his flat, also claimed the credibility of the public was being strained to breaking point by Sir Keir's focus on the refurbishment. Yes. Oh, credulity of the public. Good. The public should be questioning you. You are very corrupt, and I think sleaze is probably the right term. He goes on about a wallpaper when I've told him umpteen times I paid for it. Mr. Johnson told the Labour leader. Well, we'll see. We'll see if that's the case in the formal investigation. And why you couldn't be transparent with that in the beginning, I just don't know. Don't know why you couldn't be transparent about that in the beginning. When asked by Sir Keir Starmer to answer a multiple choice question on who paid the initial voice for the invoice, taxpayers, the Conservative Party, a private donor, and himself, Mr. Johnson replies, I have covered the costs. We'll find out. Don't know why you couldn't just say that to begin with. Don't know why. The Prime Minister and his fiancée, Carrie Symonds, are said to have wanted an overhaul on the flat in order to replace what has been termed Theresa May's John Lewis furniture nightmare. After PMQ's, Keir Starmer's spokesman disclosed that the Labour leader's wedding list was with John Lewis. Yeah, this is like some fucking like first world problems right here. Do you know what the John Lewis furniture is just not good enough for me. I must change this and have this renovated. It's some ridiculous first world problem, and it's a ridiculous thing to then hide and then almost fucking lose your job over. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I like the Prime Minister. He doesn't turn his nose down at John Lewis thinking it's down market. He said, yeah, it's true. Like, John Lewis is fucking up market. This is such a ridiculous first world problem. Like, even if he doesn't like the furniture, it's not to his taste. Like, why be so covert about changing it? The spokesman also suggested the fiery exchanges in the House of Commons have seen the Prime Minister suffer a Kevin Keegan moment as he referenced an ex-Newcastle United manager's famous rant during the 1996 Premier League title race. I don't know about football. I don't fucking know about that. The Electoral Commission investigation comes amid growing questions about how Mr. Johnson's flat refurbishment was paid for. Yeah, it's not like he doesn't have the money. Exactly. Like, it's such a ridiculous thing for him to lie about. Like, why would you lie about this? Like, nobody would question if the Prime Minister has the money to do such a thing, right? So why not just come out and say that immediately? Why not just, put that on the book straight away? Very sus. Very, very, very sus. The Electoral Commission investigation comes amid growing questions about how Mr. Johnson's flat refurbishment was paid for. In leaked emails, it recently emerged that Tory donor Lord Brownlow, fucking hell, it's a fancy name, offered the Conservative Party a $58,000 pound donation last year. Been reading too much American shit. The money, according to emails seen by the Daily Mail, was to cover the payments, as the party has already the party has already made on behalf of the soon-to-be formed Downing Street Trust. In emails to Conservative Party officials from October, the Tory peer was also reported to have mentioned a $15,000 pound. I keep saying dollar, man. £15,000 donation. However, only the £15,000 donation has been listed on the Electoral Commission records, with a mystery surrounding the other $58,000 sum. Why? Why would you be trying to hide £43,000? Very odd. Very, very odd. Why would you not want people to know about that? Maybe that money's dirty. Very odd. Where's that £43,000 disappeared to, Mr. Boris Johnson? A Conservative Party spokesman said, "We believe all reportable donations have been transparently and correctly declared and published by the Electoral Commission." Then where have they gone? Where have they gone? Where's it gone? "We will continue to work constructively with the Electoral Commissions on this matter. While an investigation is ongoing, we will not be commenting further." I can't wait for this investigation. If Boris gets thrown out, that would be very interesting. This mystery is stressful. It's fish stressful. Downing Street said Mr. Johnson would be happy to assist if the Electoral Commission asked for any information from him during his investigation. It wasn't even like they did building work, right? It was just furniture they were buying, to my knowledge, anyway. Downing Street said Mr. Johnson would be happy to assist if the Electoral Commission asked for any information from him during its investigation. It has been confirmed that the government has since last spring been looking into whether a trust could be established to help fund upgrades for the Prime Minister's residence in Downing Street, with Lord Brownlow having agreed to be its chair. Is this really necessary? Is this really necessary? Like, I can't see the benefit to this trust foundation, right? Like, this honestly just looks like an easy way for cash for access, right? Oh, we'll donate to the what's it called? The Downing Street Trust. We'll donate to the Downing Street Trust. You know, you don't have to give us anything in return, but you know, it is quite a big donation to make your life personally better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? Know what I'm saying? I can't imagine this is a good thing. If the Prime Minister wants to renovate his flat, he should be the one renovating the flat, surely. Not a trust of donors, you know? The trust of donors? No such trust currently exists, and Mr. Johnson is now said to have personally paid for the cost of a wider refurbishment of the flat he shares with Miss Simmons. Yet both Number 10 and the Conservative Party have not denied reports that the Conservative campaign headquarters paid the Cabinet Office to cover initial costs of the works. I think that's okay, right? They announced that, and that's on the book. That's all right. Meanwhile, Sky News has reported Downing Street approached former Labour Chancellor Lord Alistair Darling to ask for help to setting up a trust to oversee the refurbishment of Boris Johnson's private flat. Why would the Labour Party want to get involved in this? That's odd. Officials wanted Lord Darling to sit on a trust which would cover any renovation cost. Oh, I see. Just to have some oversight. Okay. Lord Darling, who lived above Downing Street when he was Gordon Brown's Chancellor, turned down the role, and he didn't want anything to do with it. He is thought to have argued that the government, rather than a trust, should maintain government buildings, and that project could attract an unwanted attention from donors who might want favours from the Prime Minister or a peerage. It's exactly what I said, right? This is exactly what I said. Government buildings should be maintained through government funding and a private trust which allows you to earn favours from those in power. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous way of going about it. Announcing their formal investigation on Wednesday, an Electoral Commission spokesperson said, "We have been in contact with the Conservative Party since late March and have conducted an assessment of the information that they have provided us. We are now satisfied that there is a reasonable grounds to suspect that an offence or offensive may have occurred. We therefore continue this work as a formal investigation to establish whether this is the case." So the only reason this has become a formal investigation in the first place is because they didn't provide the Electoral Commission sufficient information or correct information, which is very sus. Investigation will determine whether any transactions relating to the works at 11 Downing Street fall within the regime regulated by the Commission and whether such funding was reported as required. We will provide an update once the investigation is complete. We will not be commenting further until that point. The Electoral Commission can issue fines between 200 and a maximum of 20,000 for breaches of electoral law. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has announced that a cross-branch peer Lord Geit, a former private secretary to the Queen, has been appointed as the new independent advisor of the Minister's interests, a position that has been vacant since November after Lord Geit's predecessor, Sir Alex Allen, quit the role. Sir Alex resigned after Mr. Johnson overruled his conclusions about the Home Secretary Priti Patel's bullying of civil servants. Oh yeah, she's like really horrible. And apparently Mr. Johnson backed her up. And the advisor of Minister's interests resigned over it. Wow. It's almost like there's a lot of sleaze going on within the Tory party right now. Very interesting. The Cabinet Office said Mr. Johnson's Lord Geit had agreed he would begin his work by ascertaining the facts surrounding the refurbishing of Downing Street's flat and advise the Prime Minister on any further registration of interest that may be needed. This will be in collaboration with the work of the Cabinet Secretaries Simon Case, who this week told MPs he is reviewing the funding arrangements for the refurbishment. But Downing Street said Johnson will remain the ultimate arbiter of any investigation into whether he breached the ministerial code. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? He basically gets to say that he didn't break the law. No, I didn't break the law. Why? Well, because I'm the one who makes it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's sleazy motherfucker. Absolute sleazy motherfucker. Alright, alright. Enough Britpol. Let's talk about some this guy. I don't know if you've seen this guy. JP.
This message is for this.
He used to do like satirical YouTube videos. Not even YouTube videos, like little like TikToks and shit like that. And they weren't too bad back then, right? It's just being overtly sarcastic, and it was cringe, but you know, it wasn't like terrible. Nowadays, he's turned to political commentary, and boy howdy, this man is a moron. I will say now, content warning. This guy is basically conspiratorial. Basically conspiratorial. There we go. Basically conspiratorial. Anyway, let's watch this guy talk about some nonsense.
Top story. President Biden, who's surrounded by Secret Service members with guns to protect him, and who also controls a military heavily armed with guns, wants to take your guns because guns are bad.
One, that's already not true. That is already not true. Biden is not trying to take your guns. Biden is trying to implement stricter gun control, not actively take guns away from you. These are not the same thing. Not the same thing. Two, Biden is the president of the most powerful nation on the planet. Yes, he needs security. And maybe that security needs to be a little bit higher than your average citizen based on the position that he holds. The average citizen does not need an armed escort, do they?
Why is this a good thing? Stay tuned to find out. It's kind of like rules for thee, but not for me.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's exactly that. If you think you and the president abide by the same rules, you are unbelievably misguided. Unbelievably misguided. No, this guy is not super base. This guy is super cringe. This guy is super cringe. Nice to see you, Swamp Fox, though.
Know what I mean? President Biden has signed 6 executive orders on gun control. This comes after the mass shooting in Colorado. The Biden
Good. Sounds based. I like that.
administration, instead of shamelessly offering their condolences to the victims and their families, sees the tragedy as an opportunity to further their political agenda.
Yes, a thing happened, and the government then decided that they should do something about that thing, as is the government's responsibility. Yes, that is the purpose of a government, to protect its people. Yes, I agree. Yeah, that is what they're doing. That is the correct thing to do. Yes, right? You can say, like, thoughts and prayers as much as you like, but that doesn't actually stop these issues from happening. Doing something about it is the actual purpose of the government. He's mostly satire. He's not really serious about any of this. I don't know, man. He comes off, like, really sarcastic and condescending. But it's, like, there's like, some legitimate conspiracy in here. And if you look at the fucking audience that he has, these people believe this genuinely, right? You read these comments, these people believe this shit genuinely. This is like conspiracy
Of gun control. And they did so with such blinding speed that it's almost as if they had everything in place.
What? Hold on, you're telling me that Joe Biden, who promised stricter gun control before he ran, got in and implemented stricter gun control, and it's like he had it prepared. Yeah, because he did have it prepared, and he admitted to having it prepared. Yes. Yes. Yes, that is the case, and it's not conspiracy. That's what being a good politician is. Having things you say you're going to do, and then doing the things. Yes, yes, he did have it prepared.
And we're just waiting for the right tragedy to take advantage of.
Nope, they always said they were going to push this through. It's just, it seems prescient to do it to stop more mass shootings.
Which shows how much they care. Some people are
Yes, it does, actually.
opposed to the Biden administration implementing stricter gun control laws, believing that authoritative powers with guns trying to take your guns is one of the reasons why you need guns.
Nope, this is not the case. This is not the case. I don't know if you guys know. I live in England. England has a standing military with guns. We even have some police officers with guns. We have an authority with a monopoly on violence. Yet strangely enough, England has not devolved into fascism. Yes, it turns out you can exist in this dichotomy completely peacefully, like most of the modern world.
But not if the powers that have guns that are taking your guns are doing so for your protection.
I agree, yeah. True.
Some people can be so short-sighted. Some also believe that gun control laws won't deter criminals because
it's not about deterring it. It's not about this. This is like such a fucking ridiculous, fallacious argument. I think this is known as a black and white fallacy, right? Whereas if you can't solve things completely, then you shouldn't address them, right? Even if you can make things substantially better, you just shouldn't address them unless you can completely solve them, right? It's true that criminals may still have access to guns with stricter gun control. That is true. But it will be significantly more difficult for them to access them, yes, and that's the point. That's the point. I chill with gun control when they take the guns from cops as long as I'm still allowed to hunt with guns. I barely buy any of the meat from grocery store due to hunting success. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think disarming the police and disarming the civilians is probably like a really good idea in America. I don't really mind hunting rifles. There seems to be absolutely no issue with them. Like none at all.
criminals, by definition, don't obey laws. These naysayers state things like, if Hunter can't...
That's true. Criminals, by definition, do not abide laws. And that is why murder should be legal, right? If you're going to murder somebody, you're not going to abide the law that says don't murder. And that is why murder should be legal, obviously. What a big brain take. No, this is stupid. That is the point of laws. The point of laws is not to stop people doing things. It's to hold people accountable when they do things that are bad. Right? That is... Like, this man doesn't understand anything. You're just as deadly in the wrong hands. I agree, right? But it tends to be that the majority of gun crime tend to be like pistols, not like hunting rifles, because the people who own hunting rifles tend to live in like secluded areas, like far out, and that's, you know, they don't really need like a gun for like home protection or anything like that, or and they don't carry their guns around, because carrying a hunting rifle around obviously is heavy, and it's quite obvious that you're carrying it. So it, like they just don't seem to be an issue.
Follow gun laws, then why would any other criminal? The Second Amendment states that a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That's not the entire Second Amendment, though. That's not the entire Second Amendment, though. And that doesn't include the caveats of the Second Amendment as dictated by the Supreme Court of America. This is like a one-head reading. This is a one-head reading of this of the amendment.
The plot thickens because in speaking of the Second Amendment recently, President Biden said, "No amendment is absolute."
That is true. That is just true. It's just absolutely true, and this is supported by every Supreme Court that has ever been in, and every single president that has ever been in. It's just absolutely true.
This is heartwarming news because most freedom-loving people feel safer when their constitutional rights are infringed on.
That is not the case. That is not the case. Saying that the Constitution does not grant you unlimited rights is not the same as infringing on your constitutional rights. That is just simply not the answer. It's more about pistols than anything, Swamp Fox. Like, I don't really care if like you own an AR-16 and you live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And especially with like an AR-16, if you're carrying around an AR-16, it puts people on edge and people are much less likely to be around you, which in turn prevents mass shootings, right? It's mostly like concealed carries and right to carry laws which cause mass shootings and like the proliferation of pistols throughout. How does shotgun and long rifle ownership affect suicides? Not massively, as far as I know, because it's actually quite difficult to commit suicide with like a long-barreled shotgun, like simply because your arms can't reach the other end of it while it's in your mouth. Like with a pistol, you literally just like bam, right? With a shotgun, it's much more elaborate. So it's not that bad. It pistols and like right to carry laws and like the general proliferation of guns throughout society tend to be the issue.
And of course, the Second Amendment is not absolute, because if you read the fine print, you'll see it applies to a free state.
Haha. Oh, very funny quip there. But it is not an absolute, it's just true. It is not absolute. You're not allowed to own nukes. It's just like one very basic example, it's not absolute. It's not supported by the Supreme Court, that's absolute. It's not supported by the President, that's absolute. It's not supported by the House, that's absolute. It's not supported by Congress, that's absolute. It's not absolute. It's not absolute.
I don't think that's what we're doing here anymore. In the left's completely ideal gun control agenda, which again is for your protection, President Biden has signed 6 executive orders on gun control. One of which is the Model Red Flag Law. This executive
red flag laws are kind of cringe. They don't really work. There's not really a lot of point in these. I don't support these.
order allows police and the courts to strip a person of
the data
their
is pretty
firearms
mixed.
without
It's not really worth
evidence
supporting.
or probable cause, and requires the person prove their innocence in order to get them back. That's a big one. I really can't stress that one enough. That's a big one. And it's for your protection. On the matter, Tim Kennedy, a Green Beret and Special Forces
This person looks insane.
sniper, took to Instagram to share a history lesson on what happens when governments take weapons from the people. Along the way, he pointed out that the power shifts from the people, where it's supposed to be, to the government.
No, that's not true. It's just not true. There are plenty of democratic states which don't have firearms in them. There's so many. Like at Australia. Australia is one of the most democratic countries in the world. They don't have guns there. They took away all their guns, in fact. They literally did a prohibition on guns. And they're one of the most democratic states. So it's just bullshit.
Where it's not supposed to be. In the video, Tim Kennedy shared examples throughout history to...
Yeah, the Nazis made it easier for Germans to get guns. Yeah, they did the thing, right? This is often like a talking point, right? Oh, the Nazis took away guns and the Nazis were bad, right? So, you know, taking away guns equals Nazis. But they didn't. They took away guns from Jewish people and gay people and black people and made it easier for, like, Aryan Germans to get guns. So it's not... that's not what happened. It's not true. The Soviets had a mandatory conscription. Many of the people kept their pistols or rifle after their time of service. I think mandatory conscription is actually even worse. It's actually even worse. Mao took the guns. Yeah, we'll get to that, right? Because I've watched this video before. We'll get to that.
Back up his point. For example, in 1911, Turkey established gun control. And from 1915 to 1917, 1.5 million Armenians were murdered.
That is not causation, right? Actually, in Turkey, in 1918 or whatever it was, everybody in the country drank water at one period. 20 years later, 1.5 million Armenians were dead. That's right, yeah. We should ban water. This is not causation. That's not how it works.
1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. And from 1929 to 1953, 20 million dissidents were killed. In 1935, China established gun control. And from 1948 to 1952, 20 million citizens were systematically killed. This
is not causation. It's not how that works. It's not how that works. This is a correlation. It can't do that. I could literally say anything and then genocide or and then massacre.
Justin, China also currently has an active genocide happening against its unarmed citizens. In 1930,
it's not genociding them because they don't have guns. They would still be genociding them if they had guns. This changes nothing. This is like a false dichotomy.
Germany
there is a genocide.
Control.
No tankies.
And from 1939 to 1945, they killed 13 million Jews.
It's not because the Jews didn't have guns. It's just not what happened. It's so ridiculously ahistorical.
And other Europeans. Furthermore, history also has it that Guatemala established gun control in 1964. And from 1964 to 1981, 100,000 Mayan Indians were rounded up and killed. Uganda.
I'm pretty sure they didn't have guns in the first place. And again, this is not like, you can't say these two things are related, right? You have to make the case as to why they're related. Not just say this happened and then say this happened, right? It's like vague gesturing to look like you're making an argument, but you're not actually making an argument. Yeah, Guatemala handed out guns to peasant militias to do the genocide. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, how vague gesturing at a point there is.
Established gun control in 1970. And from 1971 to 1979, 300,000 Christians unable to defend themselves were killed.
I think the obvious answer here is authoritarian governments tend to take away guns because they are authoritarian. But that does not mean exclusively that gun control is authoritarian. That's just not how it works. There are many examples of nations without guns that are not authoritarian and run absolutely fine. It's just not the case. This guy is brain dead. This guy is brain dead.
Cambodia established gun control in 1956, and from 1975.
Yeah, none of these examples are even regimes that took guns, though. That's what I mean. This is big vague posting. Authoritarian is a buzzword. It is a bit of a buzzword nowadays. I think I understand how authoritarianism has very negative connotations, but having authority on certain things is good. It is a good thing. States, yeah, every state is true. States are authoritarian. That's the point. The state is the authority. That is the point of a state, right? I don't mind these things. I don't mind authority on certain things. The authority being you guys cannot kill each other. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely okay with that. That may seem ooh, spoopy government. First they tell us we can't kill each other, then what?
To 1977, 1 million people were exterminated. In Rwanda, strict gun control laws went into effect in 1979. And in 1994, 800,000 people were killed in just 100
all nothing.
days. And by the way, they use propaganda from mainstream media outlets to fuel and justify
No
genocide.
way. Hold on. You're telling me that governments use propaganda to achieve their political goals? Bruh. Mind-boggling take right there. Didn't know it. Didn't know it. This is cringe. This is such cringe. But this would mean me pointing out that the US installed a dictator, so I can't bring that up. Well, exactly.
On Tim Kennedy's post,
I wonder how many of these governments were destabilized by US intervention.
who has risked his life on many occasions and seen many of his friends die in combat in order to protect the American people,
does make you a better
had
person.
his post labeled partly false by independent fact checkers. Because
that's right. You lie on the internet, now they call you out. I think it's good.
Luckily, the fact checkers came out to protect the American people from Tim Kennedy protecting them. When clicking for more information, you learn there is
I really hate this notion that like the US military is there to protect the people. Like there are people like actively trying to invade the US and the military needs to be there to stop this from happening. This is not true. Like the US military is like specifically a force for imperialism. Like, that's what they do. They go to other countries and do things there. I mean, you could say they have, like, some defensive validity in, like, Europe, maybe, against Russia, but that it's not really... Like, the idea that they're going to be attacked if there's no military, or, like, that they're actively defending you, I think is pretty fucking ridiculous. I still throw a gun up at this guy with the red hair as a dumbass. This guy is a dumbass.
Direct link between gun control and authoritarian regimes. Of course there's no direct link, aside from the previous examples of Turkey, the Soviet Union.
Yeah, but you didn't make any direct links. You just vague gestured at this being the idea. You didn't make any direct links.
China, Germany, Guatemala, Uganda, Cambodia,
I don't know.
Rwanda.
I deserve 2 million
also,
subs. This guy does not.
With more bravery than Tim Kennedy, the independent fact checkers are protecting the American people from history when they say there is no direct link between gun control and authoritarian regimes.
There you go. There you go.
These are independent fact checkers, so you have nothing to worry about. Common wisdom has it that if you don't learn from history, it'll repeat itself.
Yes, but you're not learning from history. That's the point. You're just vaguely gesturing at a point that you haven't backed up. And you're not even addressing the counterexamples to your point.
Even better, now we're learning from fact checkers that history hasn't happened. And it's really hard for history to...
No, it just didn't happen the way you said it happened. It didn't happen with this vague gesturing. Boosting your channel. Yeah, exactly right. That's what I want. I'm stealing all his 2.5 million subs. I'm going to red pill them.
Repeat itself if it hasn't even happened yet. In fact, you can learn more about these independent fact checkers when you click Learn More, which I did. Reducing the spread of false information on Instagram. Who doesn't love the thought police? Then you see...
It's not thought police. When you're not allowed to openly lie on the internet, that's not thought policing. That's not what thought policing is.
These third-party fact checkers are certified through the nonpartisan International Fact-Checking Network. Well, I wanted to learn more, so I clicked on that. Now you're on Pointer.com, the International Fact-Checking Network's website. Then, just for fun, I typed in major funders in their search function, and a page called Major Funders came up on their site. So I clicked on that.
So they're transparent about their funding. Okay, this sounds good so far.
And that reveals a list of the largest funders of Pointer, who again are the ones certifying independent fact checkers who fact check Tim Kennedy on Instagram and everyone else all over social media. And I, for one, was curious who the largest funders of the International Fact Checking Network are. So I scrolled down a little bit and I saw Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, and Instagram's independent fact checkers are certified through an organization that Facebook funds.
Yes, this makes perfect sense, right? So if there's an organization that offers a service to your platform, it is in your interest to make sure that organization continues to exist. Yes, that is perfectly reasonable. Yeah, that's what you would do, right? What more do you want, right? If there's somebody who helps you out, right? They help you out. They provide a service that you need for your platform, right? Like fact checking, right? It is in your interests. This is not a base take. It is in your interest to make sure that those people can provide that services, right? Like, he is gesturing. Again, he likes to do this. He is gesturing at the idea that Facebook is using their funding on them to levy their interests favorably, right? Let's have a look.
Car. So I scrolled down a little bit and I saw
funders, Facebook, right? What percentage of funding comes from Facebook, right? What percentage of funding comes from Facebook? He's just gesturing that some funding goes there and that they have some sort of coercion over there. He's not proved that there's coercion there. He's not proved that this is even like one of the major contributors. Which, I mean, it probably is. I would probably even concede that, but he's not proven anything to do with that. So this is just like another vague posting, gesturing at a supposed hypocrisy. This is like a typical Republican nonsense thing.
Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, and Instagram's independent fact checkers are certified through an organization that Facebook funds. And they're the ones that labeled Tim Kennedy's post partly false, saying there's no...
But it's not just them funding it, is it? And just because they fund them doesn't mean they get a say in what they deem as true and false, right? It's gesturing. It's all just gesturing at some sort of like supposed hypocrisy or some supposed conspiracy. There's nothing there though. You have to make the point. You have to find evidence that Facebook is coercing pointers to fact check in their favor, right? You can't just say they fund them, thus they're doing this. This is not a sufficient argument.
Direct link between gun control and authoritarian regimes. Now that might make you start to think that if an authoritarian regime was trying to confiscate everyone's weapons so they could more easily take out anybody that opposes them, as history shows happens, then they could be trying to control free speech through their partnership with
this
big
is conspiracy
tech, with all their censorship and fact checking.
This is
and
straight
then it could look
conspiracy.
like they're using their control of free speech to monopolize everyone's attention onto their propaganda about how giving up gun rights protects everyone.
This is straight conspiracy. Or more likely, let's consider. But what if gun control is actually good, right? Let's consider the alternative, right? What if this were true though? Because I find this is very helpful when it comes to conspiracies. What if this were true? If this were true, and gun control does actually reduce the amount of gun deaths, it would be in the interests of the government to push this information, right? And it would be in the interests of fact checkers to come out with the truth about this information that gun control is good, right? And obviously, you're gonna provide funding to companies that are servicing you. Right, that makes perfect sense. I understand why you would do this. So maybe this could all be true, and it's not some global conspiracy to control free speech and brainwash you into getting rid of your guns. Maybe the same would happen if it were true that gun control actually prevents people from dying. Perhaps that would be the case. Right? You can make up this whole like crazy story about the free speech police controlling and manipulating the mainstream media and all this fucking crap. Or perhaps it's just like the obvious truth that we can plainly see and know is how the world functions. It is really obvious.
It looked like their ability to disarm the population would be much easier. But if it seems that way to you, you are wrong. Because these are independent fact checkers.
They are independent. Again, you haven't proven any kind of collusion. You have to show that there's collusion. You can't just gesture at it.
Which makes this whole scheme impossible. Because it says right here, independent. Now that's not a word.
You have to show collusion. You can't just gesture. It's a vague gesturing annoys me so much.
Worth looking into like I did. So odds are this whole scenario isn't happening. The fact checkers are here for your protection.
They are.
Biden wants to take your guns for your protection.
It's true.
And I'm controlling how you think about this for your protection.
You're not controlling how nobody's controlling how you think about this. Presenting you a fact is not controlling how you think about something. It doesn't work like that. Like by this line of logic, any kind of fact is mind control, is some sort of global conspiracy. You could say this about anything.
The great comedian Dave Chappelle once said, "The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one doesn't work out." Well, Dave, the first one isn't working out so well. But luckily,
my free speech, it's being taken away, my free speech.
We're taking away the second. So with our full report tonight, now your brain can conclude it's good to have your gun rights taken away. Because it's...
That's not even the case, right? This is like some ridiculous hyperbole, vague gesturing with absolutely no evidence and like a vague correlation.
It's for your protection. That's it for tonight. Tune in tomorrow for our full report on how volunteering for an upcoming genocide will protect you and your family. Good night.
What are you on about? Republicans advocate for this shit all the fucking time. Republicans are always like, yes, we need more people on the border patrol to stop the migrants getting in. We need more police to harass black people. Like, this already happens, and it comes from your camp, you fucking moron. Yeah, here we go by the Joker, yeah. This person is unhinged.
The stats are in. Would you believe some people still believe what we tell them? Well...
Yeah. I don't trust fact checkers. I don't like the truth, okay? I like just thinking whatever emotionally charged crap I believe, okay? I don't believe in anything real. Like, and now we get to the actual dangerous part, right? You can defend this as satire as much as you like. You can defend this as satire as much as you like, right? But this is his audience. His audience genuinely believes this. You'd have to tell me, not only with this video satire, but every single person in this comment section supporting it, the 50,000 people who have liked this video all think this is satire and all are acting satirically. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Look at these comments. All my guns identify as face masks, so I'm good. Hashtag science, right? We got some casual transphobia thrown into the gun discourse. Too much logic. Wow, this video is completely crazy. Thanks for doing what you do. Too much logic. You are a moron.
Why should you invest in...
You're a moron. You don't understand logic. This is like ridiculous vague posting.
Why should you invest in...
The algorithm is confused within your side. You know, I think this should be labeled partly false or wholly false. My great-grandfather died in a labor camp in Siberia. My father was born in a labor camp in the Soviet Union, so can confirm. That doesn't prove anything. This doesn't prove anything. There's nothing. There's no... It's vague posting. It's more vague posting. The sad part is, this isn't even a parody of the list. It's extremely accurate. This is exactly how I sound, actually. It's true. I go on, and this is how I talk, and these are the things that I present, rather than just, like, how the world actually is. So if guns kill people, I guess pencils misspell words and cars drive drunk and spoons make people fat. Yeah, it's a good thing we have, like, regulations on food and cars and documents. Yeah, it's a good thing we have that. Maybe we should have regulations on guns as well. The most terrifying words from the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Oh, that's true. We should not have any faith in our institutions at all. What we should do is completely reject modernity and return to monkey. Our forefathers would have already been shooting by now. Fun fact. These people are so fucking laughy. I wonder how many of these people supported the Capitol riots. I wonder how many. I wonder if he has a video on the Capitol riots. Should we have a look?
This message is for the...
You know, his channel is called Awaken. Awaken with JP. Let's see. I want to see the Capitol riot. Let's have a look. Cap. It's all. Oh, it does. He does. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. This is going to be fucking cringe.
Good evening, government property. The Capitol has been stormed, the Georgia Senate runoff election results are in, and the Electoral College has certified the election. We'll tell you what you think about all these things and more, but first, we'd like to begin by congratulating Nancy Pelosi, who earlier this week banned gendered terms like mother and father from being used in the House. It's a progressive step to help dissolve the loving fabric of families that...
No, it's not true. It's dissolving the fabric of families. No, it's just it means you can't virtue signal about being a mother or a father.
It's so troubling. It's also a much needed and powerful step towards censoring God, as God has used gendered terms like man and woman in
Yeah, it's about censoring God.
the Bible repeatedly. With the admirable left leadership in our country, we can look forward to the evil word of God being progressively
God's word is
eroded
evil, though.
away
Fuck God.
in exchange for the all-loving, omnipresent word of the government, which seems to be more trustworthy than God. On a note of ungodly intellect...
True. I would genuinely believe the government over the Bible. Why the fuck wouldn't you?
Intellectualism, on January 3rd...
He can't uncensor himself because free will, Wowie. Come on. You've argued with enough religious people to know that was the argument that was coming.
The 117th Congress kicked off with a Missouri representative concluding a prayer with Amen and a woman. As the left insists on banning gendered words, their intellectual superiority compels them to make up new gendered words and use them. A woman. A word with a deep and rich...
Nobody's doing this. Yeah, the thing he made, which he didn't need to make because he already knows everything that's going to happen, that thing, right? Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. It's perfectly logical. Why don't you understand that, okay? Why do you trust the government so much?
Meaning to balance out amen. Amen has a meaning of truth and solidarity. As a woman balances out that meaning, it apparently has a meaning of lies and division. And
I don't know why he's making such a big deal of this. Fucking triggered much. Somebody said amen and a woman because they were trying to be inclusive, which is a little bit cringe because I don't think amen is a gendered word. It doesn't really have like roots in being gendered, but still, why are you crying so much?
Ending a prayer with a woman is a beautiful, subversive way to spit in the face of God and truth while honoring Pelosi, lies, and division. This just in! Happy New Year! It's 1984. A woman will be in the next edition of...
It's 1984. He's fucking insane, this guy.
Newspeak. In other news, the Georgia Senate runoff election results are in, and the left wins both Senate seats.
Yeah, it was great.
The left got the most votes in an election.
They always do, by the way. They literally always do. Popular vote, the left never loses the popular vote.
Surprising, right? Both Democrats.
No, not at all. This has been happening forever. Saying Orkman is a woman is literally 19. Exactly. That's when 1984. Okay, Big Brother is when gender neutral terms. Yeah, that's what happened.
Democrats won despite the adversity they faced when Facebook shut down the fundraising pages for both Republican campaigns. We can only imagine how much the Democratic candidates would
because they were spreading lies.
have been distracted and probably even heartbroken when Facebook shut down their opponent's ability to campaign. But the left persevered through...
No, it doesn't stop you from campaigning. Not being able to spread lies on Facebook doesn't stop you from campaigning. You're like the fucking RNC is not like phased by not being able to fucking campaign on Facebook. It's not how it works. They send flyers, they go door to door, they have signs up, they run adverts. This is rubbish. They weren't stopped from campaigning.
Through the adversity for an inspiring win in another decisively Democratic election. With majority control over the House, the Senate, and the presidency, more on that in a sec.
Like I said, the left literally always wins the popular vote. The only reason the Republicans ever win is because of the Electoral College. The left literally always wins the popular vote. This is not out of the ordinary. This is exceedingly normal.
The left will now go unchecked. From the same people who have brought you unconstitutional mandates like lockdowns and masks, while definitely not...
For the protection of the people. That is the purpose of the government, yes, to protect the people, yeah.
deliberately destroying small businesses.
Deliberately destroying small businesses, yes. Now, maybe it's just the entire system is bad. You need a big systemic reform. Maybe this just highlighted the issues with the system that you had already. I mean, alternative, we let hundreds of millions of people die, so I don't know about that one.
You can expect more lockdowns while having additional rights being taken away with spoon-fed reasons that are always in your best interest. This just in! They can't take away your freedoms if you're brave enough to disobey them. Hey, how the hell did...
I'm brave enough to go out and kill everybody with COVID. That's right. You won't take my freedoms, okay? I'm going to go out and I'm going to cough on grandma to own the libs. Yeah, that's how brave and free I am.
This get in here, and it's written in misgendered ink. I want you to find who did this and put them on AOC's blacklist. They'll be the first to go into the new concentration camps. Oh, but when you find him...
The left are the real fascist. Already in that meme.
Tell the public and his family that he caught a virus and needs to be taken away to a FEMA camp for health treatment.
Hey, COVID conspiracy. Here we go. Okay, what if Joe Biden had an argument with a bloke from a small business, such as mechanics, a garage, of course? That loony would then declare war on small business. Yeah, of course. That's probably what happened, actually, now that I think about it, right? Why would that not be true?
Now that the left has free reign, you can expect them to push your country to look more and more like a democracy while looking nothing like a communist takeover. Like, not
communism bad. I love this guy. He does all the conspiracies like one after another. He does the 1984, straight into the COVID conspiracies, straight into the Red Scare, straight in there.
Not at all. Like, definitely not that. But like, and like, but it, like if it was that, they'd still call it a democracy while they were doing it. So like,
the whole point of communism is to be democratic, by the way.
Cool. And in other news, at the Capitol, as Congress convened to certify votes, hundreds of thousands of Trump supporters gathered so the mainstream media could...
I honestly thought he was going to call them patriots.
...call them all racists. And indeed, our...
Well, yeah, they are all racist. Like, statistically speaking, like, you're most likely to be racist if you're middle-aged and white. Guess what you're also most likely to be if you're middle-aged and white? A Trump supporter. So yes, they most likely were racist.
Our independent fact checkers has verified each one of them is a racist. And their secondary reason for traveling to the nation's capital...
They're probably all racist. I think I'm willing to say that.
...is because they're crazy enough to think something fishy was going on in this year's election. Idiots. These people clearly hate America.
This has literally never been a problem. Electoral security has never been a problem.
And are deliberately trying to destroy democracy by ensuring elections are fair and democratic.
Storming the Capitol is not ensuring that elections are fair and democratic. It's literally trying to overturn the results of an election, which is the opposite of fair and democratic. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
These protesters' concerns are baseless. They're all conspiracy theorists, and they're also other words that we use to trigger you to automatically view them in a negative light through our...
Yeah, it's true. When you make up baseless claims and then you storm the Capitol and overturn the democratic institutions, yes, you should be labeled bad words, and people should think that is bad. Yep. Yes, we should do that.
Mind control tactics. Beyond a shadow...
Mind control tactics? Damn. Everything is mind control to this guy. No, you don't understand. It's only unfair and democratic when Democrats allergy to it. Exactly right. When Republicans don't like something, that's undemocratic. And what you should do then is actually try and overturn the results of an election via force in order to ensure democracy. That's the big brain move.
Of a doubt, Joe Biden won the election hands down. So go home.
He did.
You Trump mega maggots. This just in.
Yeah, you should.
Joe Biden has won the lottery, as you can see here through our exclusive footage of his winning ticket.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Biden.
Man, we should investigate this. We should have like a lottery security board, and then we should get them to check on it, and we should have the opposition appoint all the people checking that, and then they will still come out and say that, yeah, no, it wasn't rigged. Yeah.
But on a more somber note, unfortunately, things turned ugly at the Capitol with violence. There's absolutely nothing funny about that. Before those unfortunate events, Protesters stormed the Capitol, as you can see here, when barricades were opened for them by police. Conspiracy theorists suggest the most unruly...
Conspiracy theorists suggest that the police are a bad organization, with heaps and heaps of proof.
Protesters were Antifa in disguise, just trying to wreak havoc to make Trump and all his supporters look like they're dangerous and trying to overthrow democracy. Well, luckily our fact checkers have debunked this claim as false, citing the latest science that shows Antifa wouldn't dress like this. The fact checkers also...
Is he really doing the Antifa raided the Capitol meme? Is he really doing that? Is he really doing the Antifa raided the Capitol meme? I can't believe it. This person is insane. This person is absolutely insane. And everybody in the comments thinks he's being genuine.
Also denied that it's even possible the same alleged Antifa member was at a BLM rally in Arizona in June. And here he is pictured at that rally, so you can be certain of what didn't happen.
It's probably a counter-protester. Seems like the kind of guy to go to a counter-protest. You know, storming the fucking Capitol in a bearskin. And it says manipulated media. And like, you know, this guy came out saying that he was expecting Trump to pardon him. So he's clearly a Trump supporter. He's clearly a Trump supporter.
According to our fact checkers. And as you can see, socialist media giant Twitter now lets you know through a manipulated media thought control warning that no Antifa activists stormed the Capitol, according to multiple fact checkers.
True. Like, we should literally trust nothing, though, okay? Nothing can be trusted. Only vaguely gesturing at conspiracies should be trusted. Alright? That's what we should do.
And the fact that Twitter...
Yeah, I'm not sure many Antifa would wear red, white, and blue face paint. They're not exactly pro-America, are they?
This doesn't make it any more suspicious. The fact checkers will also let you know that this Trump supporter is definitely not Antifa. That's why he has the communist hammer and sickle tattooed on his hand. Like,
I don't know. That doesn't. I don't think that actually looks like a hammer and sickle to me. I think it looks more like a bow.
That's why he has the communist hammer and sickle tattooed on his hand.
It's probably like a. It's probably like a fucking. It's probably like a fucking Nazi symbol that we don't know. Do you know what it looks like, actually, right? It looks like the, it looks like, outsider from Dishonored. It looks like that, right? And it's in the same position, right? It looks like this, and it's in the same position as it would as it is in the game, right? Like this, you see? Fuck is the video? Is it this one? Yeah, you see what I mean? It looks like the mark of the outsider from Dishonored. I honestly, I think it's more likely that the mark of the outsider tattoo. Like, you can see there's too many lines around here, and like this part is way too big. Not only that, right? I think it's upside down. I mean, it may be because his hand is up, but like, there are too many lines. Like, this part is too big. It's not hammer and sickle, quite clearly.
Like most Trump supporters do. And the most disturbing part of this story that we command you to believe is that President Trump was personally inciting these protesters to violence. So much so that Twitter removed a video Trump posted where he said to his supporters at the Capitol, "You have to go home now. We have to have peace.
You're very special. Go home now. Pat on the head." That's what he said. You're very special. Thank you for rioting the Capitol for me. Thank you for trying to overturn the election for me. But go home now, please. Go ahead. Go ahead and link a funny video. Why not? Yeah, he also said, let's march to the Capitol, yeah.
We have to have law and order. We have the video of Trump's words destroying
Just taking that a little bit out of context there, everybody.
our narrative about him. Oh yeah, so we're not playing the video, right? Duh, of course not. You ready? That was followed by both Facebook.
Why didn't he play the video, right? They've got the video of Trump saying that. Why don't they play it? Because it doesn't look good.
Facebook and Twitter locking Trump out of his accounts. Big Tech, the new government that governs our government,
the new government, Big
heroically
Tech, yeah.
stepped in and prevented people from
That's right. If you can't be on Twitter, 1984.
Hearing Trump say, "You have to go home. We have to have peace." One can only imagine the further violence and carnage that would have happened if Twitter and Facebook let people see that video.
There were people there planning to kidnap and hold hostage representatives.
Once again, Big Tech steps in and has done something for us, for our protection. Thank God for Big Tech. A woman. Following Trump's ban on social media, the people that ran Joe Biden for president had Joe Biden inspiringly address the nation on video where Mr. Biden was kept awake for 7.5 minutes. For his very effective speech, Joe Biden received praise from all of the media, according to the media. In his speech, he said,
Joe Biden is great, though. We do love Joe Biden. We love Joe Biden on this channel, right? We love Joe Biden. Not just because he's a stark improvement against Trump, but he's actually doing pretty good.
Democracy is under unprecedented assault. And indeed it is. A democracy is where people vote their leaders into office and have faith that their vote counts in a legitimate election. Otherwise, history...
Yeah, that's how you're meant to do democracy, yeah. Maybe you should get rid of the Electoral College. That would make it more democratic. But then you would lose every election because it would be by the popular vote, which you don't agree. The left always wins the popular vote. So, if you don't agree that the left always wins the popular vote, and you actually think the right always wins the popular vote, you would be for abolishing the Electoral College, because surely you would always win the popular vote. Perfect. He's talked himself into a corner. I love it.
History always shows there will be an uprising. And we take a break reporting to you on today's uprising to share a poll with you taken from my Instagram. People were simply asked, do you believe the next election will be fair and just? With over 140,000 people viewing the poll.
Very surprising that you have a partisan audience. This is what I mean, right? Like, you can claim this is satire as much as you like, but look at his fucking audience, man. This is his demographics, right? These people who genuinely think the 2024 election is going to be stolen. This is his fucking, his audience. It's ridiculous.
The results are 8% said yes, 92% said no. And there you have it. 92% of people polled agree. Our democracy is under assault. Moving along, late in the night, the Senate voted to
fucking insane Republicans
to Electoral College votes from Pennsylvania. Shocker. And then the House voted to certify the election results. Joe Biden is now the president-elect.
Damn right.
He will be your next president.
He's the president right now.
After the vote, President Trump issued a statement, not on Twitter for some reason, vowing a peaceful transition of power.
But he didn't even go to the ceremony.
The media, that sounds like he's inciting violence and refusing to leave office. This just in. The few can only control the many if you are in a...
He did say many times that he would refuse to leave office or things akin to that. So yeah, no, that he did say that, yeah.
State of fear, bravery, and saying no to surrendering your rights is what will keep you free. The hell is this? We didn't discuss this at event 2.
Yeah, he's basically advocating that you overthrow democracy with violence, by the way.
201? Come on, who the hell is doing this? That's it for today's news. Tune in tomorrow as we'll be reporting on the latest science that shows doing your own thinking causes cancer, but letting the media do your thinking for you is healthy. No need to go back to sleep because you already are. Sweet dreams.
You already are asleep. You know you can't trust anyone who calls you a sheep or something like that, or thinks they are awoken. They know the truth, right? Don't trust anybody who says shit like that, right? I know the real truth, okay? The true truth about the truth and the real things, I know it, okay? I'm awake. You're asleep. Yeah, you're already asleep. You don't know the true truth. I know the true truth. All right, let's watch this other video. I'm gonna get off soon, but we'll watch this little video.
Check out the Y1. Whoa. That's sick. That's sick, bro. Sheesh. Sheesh. Oh, look who's coming.
I miss the good old days. Back when men actually had bollocks.
What are bollocks?
You don't know what bollocks are?
I know what
Probably
they
don't
are.
know what barracks are either.
Oh, like Barack Obama? Yeah, like the president?
No, not like Barack Obama. That guy barely dropped bombs anyway. I miss the 1940s, World War II. You know what I'm talking about?
That's a pooper scooper. Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
What?
Preston.
Sir, yes, sir! What are you doing? Sorry, the Call of Duty.
No, Preston, you don't have any duties. You need to come back to the principal's office. You made those girls feel real unsafe on campus.
This guy's weird,
Enemy
huh?
forces. They're fine. I miss a time back when Call of Duty meant people actually reporting to duty to protect civilians like you who are undeserving. Sir, yes, sir!
Oh, you gonna go play video games? Oh, like Warzone?
No, not like the video game. More like when they called you back during wartime, the good old days, and you'd have to drop everything you're doing so you could go drop bombs, but before you go, you actually have to drop trowel on the ground so that you could impregnate your wife who was assigned to you by them, mandated so that you could procreate. And then she has to drop the infant child on the ground who you will not see for a number of years because you are dropping bombs and shooting people with your Dragunov swag.
Actually, the Dragunov rifle was created by the Soviet Union, former USSR.
Yeah, and it wasn't even created until 1963, which is post the war you're talking about, so
Wow,
you don't even make
interesting.
sense.
Good point. You guys are in middle school?
Can I have a Purple Heart, sir? That was a pretty bad burn.
Preston, you don't need to scream every time you see me.
Yes, sir!
You really need to kiss a girl already.
You're talking to a future U.S. Army soldier right now. You realize that, right?
So
You
it's
missed WW2, back during the war times.
You're talking to a future US Army soldier. That's right.